Alright, so this is the case of Gregg versus Georgia, which has to deal with, which had to decide whether capital punishment is constitutional in the United States, and if so, what crimes could be punished with the death penalty. So in the year 1976, U.S. citizens were calling for more restrictions on the death penalty because it had been recently outlawed in several foreign countries in the early 70s. The Eighth Amendment prohibits cruel and unusual punishment, so the question gripping the nation at the time was, is the death penalty constitutional for any other crime than murder? So if you were to rape someone, do you deserve the death penalty, or can you only be executed if you murder someone? One important preceding case was the 1972 Furman versus Georgia, in which 3 men on death row in Georgia were exonerated and their death sentences were struck down. The case was appealed to the Supreme Court, who decided in a 5-4 decision to basically erase the death penalty in these 3 cases, although all 9 judges said that their decisions were very controversial and they understood why the opposing side chose what they did. The effects of Furman included a nationwide de facto moratorium of the death penalty, meaning that it wasn't necessarily outlawed, but there was a significant drop in the number of executions. In addition, public opinion dropped and most people went against the death penalty. In the state of Georgia, they created a list of 14 aggravating circumstances that could justify the death penalty, meaning that if a person did not meet at least one of these circumstances, they weren't allowed to be sentenced to death. They also created the beyond a reasonable doubt clause, meaning that the jury had to be sure beyond a reasonable doubt that the person was guilty before they could impose the death penalty. And this clause later became national law with Ring versus Arizona. So Troy Gregg in the state of Georgia was arrested for 2 counts of armed robbery and 2 counts of murder. And the jury did prove that beyond a reasonable doubt he was guilty, so he was sentenced to death. He appealed to the Supreme Court, which upheld the Georgia ruling in a 7-2 decision. They decided that the death penalty is not inherently cruel or unusual punishment. So one judge